these big cities get like the stories of the cities like over and over and over again, and like yeah, cool. Like I'm in New York now, and like New York's another city where it gets a lot
of the
like
stories. Of
you're
like
just it's okay. It weirds me out that you're just like supposed to know things about New York and LA. Like I wouldn't expect you to know like how the streets of Iowa City are laid out, but like people expect you to be like,
yeah.
oh yeah, New York's a grid system, and like here's how
Oh,
it
you don't
works.
know
Like
how
you
the
didn't
grid
know that?
system works? No other city has a grid system, but you should know how the grid system works. What? It's very
Yeah,
simple.
and it's
See, the
like
trains are lettered from A to Z, but they skip B, H, most of
and
the
like they're
Q. Yeah, like,
weirdly coupled.
yeah.
Like that has always been weird to me. Is that like there's an expectation of understanding of L.A. and New York, but not like like Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Yeah, no one ever needs to know anything about Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Actually, I'm gonna pull back that example because I just remember there is actually a movie called Cedar Rapids.
Hold on, but the movie doesn't explain like the grid system. It doesn't explain like so. Here's
No.
how here's how the city planners did. I feel like the story of LA is like you move to LA and you do the dream, and then finally you break through. And in New York, it's like you move to New York, you do the dream, and then you give up.
I like, or like you just straight up lose your mind. Like,
Right, or you go crazy and you think you pulled
Yeah.
it off.
yeah,
It's like, I'm a movie star. It's like, why are you on the street?
yeah, which is like a sad and real thing. But like, New York is
It's
crazy to me
wild.
in that way.
There's so many crazy people in New York, and you walk by them, and I'm so comforted by like when I make weird, like I'll like do a weird thing socially, right? Like I'll have a piece of pizza in my hand, and I'll like take a bite, and I'll worry that maybe the bite looked weird. Like I'm just constantly nervous about how people interpret me, and I'm so comforted in New York by the fact that. Like even if I really go for it, I won't be the craziest thing that anybody sees even that day. Like I saw a woman walking around with a parakeet on her shoulder, and she was talking to it, and then she got into a cab. The fuck?
That's amazing.
It was
No, like,
wild.
I think like I really like New York right now. People tell me I won't like it for this reason after a while, but I don't see that coming. Coming from the Midwest, I love New York because I love how like anonymous I am able to be. Like in the Midwest, everyone like knows everyone, and even if you don't, people like are kind of like asking how you're doing and stuff. And like I love being anonymous here, but that's also like it's also definitely a thing that drives people crazy to be
Well, it's like
around
it's lonely
so many people.
yeah.
Yeah, it's lonely, but you're
Yeah,
surrounded.
that's
by
the thing about like the anonymity means less than like just it's crowded. You're never alone.
But you're
Yeah,
always
but,
alone.
like-
No, because everyone's there to
But-
judge. There's a million people there to look at
But
whatever you're doing.
they're just if you're judging people in New York, it's so exhausting. 'Cause it's like everybody's pulling bullshit all the time.
Also, to bring it back to our sketches, one of my favorite things about New York is I can fart at any time and no one will be able to hear it or discern the smell of it from like the smell of urine in the streets.
What a
which
perk!
is nice.
What...
Yeah.
So come on down to New York City. It's the Big Apple.
To the Big Apple.
Yeah.